Hello everyone, welcome back to Believer CS Academy, Bengaluru. This is daily news analysis session. In this session, we'll be discussing some 5 to 6 important articles from various newspapers. So, the first article for the day, that is 22nd January 2025, is from the Hindu, which deals about RBI issued new guidelines to streamline the settlement process, enhance transparency, and prevent misuse to asset reconstruction companies. Okay, to ARCs. So we will see what are ARCs and what are the important guidelines issued. ARCs or asset reconstruction companies are specialized financial institutions that purchase non-performing assets or bad loans from the banks and other financial institutions. They then aim to recover these bad debts through various methods such as restructuring loan, selling assets, changing the management of the borrower. ARCs help banks clean up their balance sheets, allowing them to focus on core banking operations. Okay, everyone knows about NPS. What is NPS? This is a bank, an individual, a person, suppose A is taken certain amount of money. Okay, if he fails to return the amount, okay, for 90 days, it becomes special mention account. After 180 days, it becomes NPA. After 280 days, it becomes non-performing asset, which is non-recoverable. These NPAs are bad for bank because the number of NPA or the amount of NPA is there in the bank. They have to set aside certain reserves. Okay, they have to set aside certain reserves. When they are setting aside certain reserves, there is less money at the hands of banks, to do the banking activities. Meaning the funds gets holded here as well as holded here. Okay, they get seized there. So now they are left with less money. So to deal with this NPA issue, there are certain bad banks or ARCs which deal with recovering these NPS or non-performing assets, or which are also called as bad loans. Okay, how they do is they will either restructure the bank loan, meaning they are going to reduce the interest rate or something else, or they are going to sell the assets of the person who has taken the loans. Okay, so they are going to purchase the NPS from banks so that banks can banks no need to keep the reserve, then the banks will have more money to do the banking operations. This NPA will be either sold to someone else by the bad banks, or they will either sell the assets and recover the money from their assets, or restructure the loans. These are ARCs. The key functions are, the primary function is asset reconstruction, that is buying and dissolving bad loans by restructuring or selling the loans. Securitization, that is converting the acquired financial assets into marketable securities. Okay, and debt recovery, that is enforcing settled securities and settling dues payable by the borrowers. Okay, meaning there is a certain asset, for example home. The person who has taken a loan has a home. That home is an asset. Okay, that asset is used as a security. In the sense, they are going to sell the home to someone else, and they are going to recover the money from this selling of home. Then that money is given to the banks. Okay, the banks. Then the NPA will be settled. Okay. Then the legal framework, they are governed under SARFAESI Act, that is Securitization and Reconstruction of Financial Assets and Enforcement of Securities Interest Act of 2002, that is SARFAESI Act. Okay, it is registered and regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. Okay, be very careful. In prelims, the questions will be similar to this only. Consider the following statements with ARCs. They are regulated under SARFAESI Act and they are regulated and registered by SEBI. Okay, if the statement is SEBI, the statement becomes wrong. Okay, then eligibility and rights. ARCs can acquire NPS only from banks and financial institutions. Once the ARCs acquires the debt, all the rights of the lender or banks are transferred to the ARC. Then funding sources, that is, funds can be raised only from qualified buyers such as banks, financial institutions, mutual funds, pension funds, and insurance companies. Okay, so ARCs cannot raise money through public deposits. Okay, you cannot risk the public deposits, so they can only raise the fund through qualified buyers. Okay, then the capital required for ARCs, the ARCs must have a minimum of net owned fund of 300 crore. Okay, if they have 300 crore worth or net owned fund, only then they will be allowed to do this NPA resettlement acts. Okay, then a minimum capital adequacy ratio of 15% of the total risk weighted asset is mandatory. Okay, and the prohibited activities, the ARCs are prohibited from raising funds via public deposits, very important point. Then officials involved in acquiring financial assets cannot approve settlements to avoid conflicts of interest. Okay, the officials involved should not have any conflict of interest. Then, so what are the new guidelines or rules provided by RBI to ARCs? That is, the RBI issued new guidelines to streamline the settlement process, which is aimed at enhancing transparency and prevent misuse. The key provisions are: there is a structured policies for settlement. That is, ARCs must adopt board approved policies to govern settlements, and these policies are addressing eligibility criteria for one-time settlement, permissible sacrifices based on exposure categories, methodologies for determining realizable value. Okay, all these will be settled by the board. That board will be devising the policies and it will be approved by the board, and there will be independent advisory committee. This advisory committee will be for dues exceeding 1 crore rupees. So the settlement must be evaluated by an independent advisory committee comprising of experts in financial, technical, or legal fields. The IAC assesses the borrower's financial position, projected earnings, and recovery prospects. Okay, then the board oversight, the decisions including the settlements must be approved by the board of directors, including at least 2 independent directors, and the board must document the rationale behind its decisions as well. Finally, for small value settlements, that is, for dues up to 1 crore rupees, settlements can be processed based on board approved policies without IAC involvement. That is, advisory committee is not needed. Okay, only if the settlement due is more than 1 crore, only then the advisory committee is required. When it is less than 1 crore, the settlement is done only based on the board approved policy without the need of IAC. The strict criteria must be followed to avoid conflicts of interest. Okay, and finally, enhance the reporting requirements. That is, ARCs must prepare quarterly reports detailing trends in settled accounts, recovery timelines, and fraud and willful defaulters. That report should include what are the trends in settled accounts, how many settled accounts have been settled, what is the recovery timelines, and then who are the fraud and willful default cases. And with respect to settlements for willful defaulters or fraud cases, the settlements for borrowers classified as willful defaulters or frauds will follow the same stringent process as high value cases irrespective of the amount. Okay, and with respect to compliance with law and judicial orders, ARCs must ensure that settlements comply with existing laws and obtain consent decrees from the judicial authorities when recovery proceedings are ongoing. Okay, so that the settlement or the settlement process is not in prejudice to the judicial orders. Okay, and it is not against the law. So significance of the ARCs is Obviously it is helping the banks or benefiting the banks. It will reduce the NPAs and clean up their balance sheets. It enables banks to focus on fresh lending rather than recovery of old debts. Economic impact, that is, it enhances credit flow or money flow in the economy by addressing the burden of bad loans, because bad loans is what, the money is stuck somewhere else. If the money or the credit is stuck somewhere else, it is of no use. So that money or cash or that credit should be in flow so that the economic activity also increases. And it promotes financial stability in the banking sector. Then professional management of NPAs. ARCs specialize in resolving stressed assets, often improving recovery rates. Then what are the challenges faced by ARCs? Low recovery rates, that is, recovery from stressed assets often fall short of expectations due to market conditions or legal complexities. And valuation issues, that is, discrepancies in the valuation of bad debts can result in financial losses for ARCs. And legal and regulatory hurdles, that is, delays in judicial proceedings, can hamper recovery efforts. And dependence on banks, that is, ARCs depend on banks and financial institutions to sell their NPAs, which is limiting their autonomy. Okay, so these are the issues. So very important point, there can be a direct question on this asset reconstruction companies in the mains, or there can be a statement based question in the prelims as well, since the new guidelines are in news. Okay, and there can also be a question in mains like interview as well. Then second article, it was covered by many newspapers, that is how TRAI, that is Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, and the Government of India are combating spam. Okay, the TRAI along with the government has implemented several measures to combat unsolicited commercial communications or spam. These initiatives leverage regulations, technology, and collaborations to reduce spam and fraudulent activities in the telecom sector. Then, what is the TRA's role in combating spam? You know spam, right? Spam is someone calling you and asking you to let take a bank loan, etc., which is of no use for you. Okay, those are spam calls. So TRA's role in combating spam, there is a do not disturb registry which was introduced in 2007. This registry allows consumer to opt out of receiving unsolicited commercial calls or messages. Then registered users are protected from spam, with the telemarketers obligated to honor their preferences. But the sad thing is, many of the people are not even aware of this do not disturb registry. Then Telecom Commercial Communication Customer Preference Regulations, that is TCCCPR regulations of 2018. This regulation penalizes marketers for violating customer preferences. If a customer has blocked a particular number, if a customer has registered a particular number in the registry, then that number should not be allowed to call. Okay, if those regulations, if those customer preferences are not accepted or not registered by the telemarketers, then they will be penalized. That is, offenders, in the sense telemarketers who violate customer preferences, will receive warnings, and after repeated violations may be blacklisted from sending messages as well. Then D&D app development, that is do not disturb app development. It was developed in collaboration with external agencies by TRAI. This app allows user to register their preferences for receiving commercial communications, report spam complaints directly. By 2024, all telecom providers must integrate D&D reporting features into their official apps. Okay, so now most of the apps have implemented the D&D app. Now, recently, TRAI is looking into blockchain technology to fight spam. That is, TRAI has mandated the use of distributed ledger technology, or that is blockchain technology, for spam control. Blockchain enables better management of customer preferences and telecommunication records. It will help in immutable record keeping, That is, blockchain creates a tamper-proof and constantly updated record of approved SMS senders, pre-approved message formats. This ensures only legitimate communications are sent, and it will enhance message traceability. That is, messages must be sent using senders IDs instead of phone numbers. This measure ensures the traceability of message origins, preventing unauthorized spam. Okay, and tightened regulations in 2024. That is, addresses loopholes that previously allowed fraudulent registration on the blockchain system. And then it ensures complete traceability of all the messages so that a person who is sending these spam messages can be held accountable. Then, what about government steps to end spam? There is Sanchar Sarathi portal, which includes reporting platform called Chaksu, which Chaksu is a reporting platform which allows users to report fraudulent calls and messages. It works with law enforcement and banks to identify and deactivate numbers associated with unauthorized telemarketers. And it also has a real-time monitoring system. That is, the Telecom Security Operations Center monitors suspicious internet traffic in real time, and it enables quick response to spam related activities. Then there is AI based detection. Telecom companies like Airtel uses artificial intelligence to flag suspicious calls as suspected spam. Okay, you might have seen whenever you will receive a call, it can be suspected spam. There will be red flag which will be shown on the particular number or a call. Okay, those and other providers are adopting similar AI driven technologies. Many of the telecom providers such as Airtel, Jio are all using this artificial intelligence flag suspicions. So way forward should be strengthening the international collaboration. That is, partner with Vivo IP providers and international regulators to curb spam originating from abroad. Promote AI and machine learning integration. That is, expand the use of AI and machine learning for proactive detection of spam calls and messages, enhancing user-friendly reporting mechanisms as well. And one more thing is public awareness campaigns. Okay, what is the use of making AI, ML, etc., apps, etc., if the people are not aware that they exist itself? Okay, so the people should be made aware about these apps and ill effects of these spams. Ensure users about reporting spam and leveraging D&D features. Encourage vigilance against phishing and fraudulent activities. Okay, all this should be done in order to avoid the spams in the future. Then, third article, it is from the Business Standard newspaper. It is National Advanced Surface to Air Missile System. It deals about what is NASAM's National Advanced Surface to Air Missile System. It is there in the name itself. It is a cutting edge, medium range, ground based air defense system designated or designed to protect strategic locations from aerial threats. Recently, Taiwan announced plans to deploy the system in the North Taiwan to safeguard its capital, that is Taipei, from potential air attacks, mainly from China. Key features of NASAMs are: it is a medium range capability. It is designed to detect, track, and neutralize a wide range of airborne threats, including aircraft, helicopters, cruise missiles, unmanned aerial vehicles, and air to surface threats. All these things can be effectively countered through NSAMs. Then, joint development. This is developed collaboratively by Raytheon Technologies of United States and Kongsberg Defence and Aerospace of Norway. First operational deployment occurred in 1994 by the Royal Norwegian Air Force, and the global deployment NSAMs is operational in the armed forces of 13 countries including USA, Norway, Spain, Finland, etc. It has been part of United States National Capital Region's air defense system since 2005, and it is significant because it has advanced radar and detection. It is equipped with an X-band 360-degree phased array radar with a detection range of up to 75 kilometers. Missile capability, it utilizes EAM 120 EM RAM, that is advanced medium range air to air missiles as well, modified for ground launches. They can be launched from ground. Each launcher can carry up to 6 missiles and the system can engage in up to 72 targets simultaneously. And then network centered design, that is open architecture design allowing seamless integration with other defense systems and additional radar and weapon systems. And it is also mobile and adaptable. It can be moved easily. It is designed to protect highway assets and densely populated areas such as Taipei. So then, what is the significance and importance of NASAMS for Taiwan? The deployment in North Taiwan, which is aimed at defending Taipei, is a critical urban and administrative center from potential airstrikes or missile attacks. The move highlights Taiwan's commitment to enhance its defense capabilities amidst rising tensions in the region. So it sends a signal or a warning to China. Okay, and then the globally adoption of NASAMS by multiple countries reflects its effectiveness and versatility, and the battle proven reliability and ability to integrate with other systems make it a favored choice for protecting critical infrastructure. So this is about Article 3, a small one but very significant because it has a geopolitical implications. Then fourth article, it is about National Board for Wildlife. So it is in news because National Board for Wildlife denied the Uttarakhand government's proposal for soapstone mining near the Kedarnath Wildlife Sanctuary, citing concerns over the impact on sanctuary, which is home to many endangered species. So what is National Board for Wildlife? That is, it is an apex advisory body in India for wildlife conservation. It is a statutory body created under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 to oversee and guide government policies and decisions related to protection of wildlife and biodiversity. The key features of NBWL are: it is constituted under Section 5A of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. It replaced the Indian Board for Wildlife, which was formed in 1952 after an amendment to the WLPA in 2002. And the roles are: it advises government on wildlife conservation, especially within protected areas. And it has the power to grant approvals or recommendations for construction of tourist lodges, changes to the boundaries of PS, diversion or destruction of wildlife habitats, denotification of tiger reserves or other critical habitats. Okay, and then it functions as a policy making body for wildlife protection and biodiversity conservation. Then the organization structure: chairperson is the Prime Minister of India, very important. Prime Minister is the chair of or ex officio chairperson of National Board for Wildlife, and the vice person is Minister of MOFCC, and the composed of 47 members including officials from institutions involved in wildlife conservation, Chief of the Army Staff, Defense Secretary and Expenditure Secretary, 10 eminent conservationists, ecologists and environmentalists who are nominated by central government. And it also houses Additional Director General of Forest and Director of Wildlife Preservation serves as a member secretary. And then Standing Committee of NBWL. It is an independent body under NBWL, chaired by Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It comprises of more than 10 members of NBWL. Okay, this is the Standing Committee of NBWL. Normally, the chairman of NBWL is Prime Minister, but the Standing Committee of NBWL chairperson is Minister of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. Importance is ensures that the developmental projects do not compromise the integrity of wildlife, plays a pivotal role in balancing economic growth and environmental protection, protects India's biodiversity hotspots and critical species, particularly within the protected areas. Okay, very significant. Then, very important article, which is an editorial from the Hindu. It is talking about Trump 2 as disruptor of the global legal order. This is an editorial which talks about Trump 2.0. It talks about the implications of Donald Trump's second term as US President on the international legal order, focusing on its tendency to challenge multilateralism and disrupt established norms. So, US exceptionalism and sovereignty. Okay, so historically, United States has historically influenced international law to align with its interest, displaying a pattern of exceptionalism. Trump's first term amplified this by rejecting multilateral treaties and sidelining the international institutions. Okay, his America First or Make India Great Again policy often led to reinterpretation of the international law to favor US sovereignty, raising skepticism globally. Okay, and then examples of disruption in multilateral institutions. Trump withdrew the US from key agreements like the Paris Climate Agreement and Iran nuclear deal and introduced tariff against its allies recently, like yesterday. And his presidency led to the weakening of World Trade Organization dispute settlement body, rendering it dysfunctional. Okay, there is a process for WTO dispute settlement body that it requires at least 7 members to be at least 7 members for it to be functional. Now there are very less members present in WTO, mainly because of US hesitancy in approving the members to this WTO settlement body. And other withdrawals include Trans-Pacific Partnership and organizations like UNESCO and threats to exit the World Health Organization as well. Most probably by today he might have already exited from World Health Organization as well. And the potential second term impact, the Trump's re-election could further weaken multilateral institutions. His policies suggest more unilateral actions such as imposing new tariffs and abandoning collaborative trade agreements. He may continue to challenge principles of United Nations Charter, potentially undermining the global norms on sovereignty and non-intervention. Okay, this will be a turbulent time period in the global world, and he also has a territorial ambitions and global reactions. That is, Trump's controversial statements on acquiring territories like Greenland, which evoke historical practices of land acquisition by force. Such rhetoric risks emboldening other nations like China and Russia to pursue similar actions, destabilizing the international order. Okay, so Trump has said that he wants to buy Greenland from Denmark, and he also said he wants to buy certain land from Mexico as well. So this precedent can be followed by other important nations like USA and Russia. Then conclusion on a test for global cooperation, that is, Trump's policy direction highlights the challenge for other nations to cooperate and uphold the multilateral legal order. His ability to consolidate power could enable him to push through more disruptive policies, testing the resilience of international law. Then, okay, this is about editorial, and the final editorial is from the Hindu only, which is from Text and Context, an editorial which deals with what is the status of smart city missions. Okay, so smart city mission, the concept and initial vision was, it was launched in 2015, aimed to develop 100 smart cities at the model of urbanization. It focused on two key components, that is pan city proposals and area based development. In pan city proposals, IT enabled services like mobility and waste management, and in area based development, retrofitting and redevelopment of specific zones within the cities. Okay, so governance issues in the presence in the article talks about the governance of the mission bypassed local governments and relied on special purpose vehicles under the Companies Act. Okay, so it undermined the local governments, which are constitutional bodies under 74th Amendment Act. City councils were excluded under the assumption that private entities could deliver better results compared to city councils. And challenges in implementation, there is a mismatch with local realities. That is, the initiative based on Internet of Things was more suited with countries with robust basic services and not suited to the country of India. In India, where basic urban services are lacking, smart cities fail to address the fundamental needs of the residents. So we should first meet the fundamental needs of the residents, then go for Internet of Things, which are more feasible for international or more forward or more developed countries like USA, Japan, etc. etc. The article says about the example of Shimla. Initially excluded, Shimla was later included after legal challenges. The city's plan focused on retrofitting 244 acres, improving pedestrian crossings, mobility, and transport corridors with additional features like ecotourism and water management. But it's faced certain financial challenges. Total estimated investment was 2,906 crore and only 706 crore, that is 24% of the budget was spent with no PPP contributions realized. Okay, the private public participation is very less, meaning the public private is not interested in this smart city mission at all. Finally, on the outcomes and failures, key projects like redevelopment of bazaars were neglected, worsening traffic and mobility issues in Shimla. Funds were misallocated. Example: there are 2 crore for 2 crore for flower plots, and visually intrusive structures obstructed scenic views. Many projects remain non-operational, showcasing a lack of accountability and ownership. So the key takeaways are urban governance, public involvement are critical for success. You cannot create just a special purpose vehicle and to expect it to meet the local demands, because it is the urban governance or the local governance who are more eligible or more suited to deal with these urban issues. Projects devoid of meaningful engagements are bound to fail, as seen in the fading relevance of smart city mission. So, government should go back to the drawing board and then decide on what issues it should focus mainly on. Only then the mission of smart city can become a reality. Okay. So this ends our discussion for the day. If you have any doubts, do write in the comment box. And if you like the video, click on the like button, comment on the video, as well as share with your friends. And for more videos like this, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any notification. With this, I will end the video. Jai Hind.